Hello there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. In the newest trailer for The Mandalorian, we are immediately treated with the image of what seems like the Razor Crest flying over a peaceful beach with waves crashing down below. Except that we know it's not the Razor Crest. It's not the ST-70 that Din Djarin was first piloting when he first found baby Gogurt. And that's because the original Razor Crest, while on a mission to the planet of Tython, was hit with a direct blast from a Class 546 modified variant of the Architon's class command cruiser. We're talking about a massive superheated bolt of plasma disintegrating the Razor Crest in a very intimate and molecular way. This is not something you can buff out. This is not the Millennium Falcon getting lost because Han was behind on payments and, being found again. This isn't Maul or Palpatine returning from the dead. The Razor Crest, the metal, the plastoid that makes up the original ship is gone. All the crazy stuff that Din Djarin and baby Gogurt went through on that ship, escaping the Empire on multiple occasions, hosting all those criminals during that prison raid. There's also more pleasant times, like when Frog Lady brought Baby Yoda all those snacks to eat, and they had a fantastic spider adventure. All that stuff happened on another ship, and not this new one. I'm almost 99% sure. There is a small part of me that believes that maybe Disney will try to bring back the original Razor Crest. I'll explain that later in the video. Don't know if that would be a good idea. But anyway, what we're looking at here is just another ST-70 assault ship, a new one. The question really is who, why, and how does it get into Din Djarin's hands? Before we continue, a quick word from our sponsor for today's video, Raycon. Now, when I'm walking around, I always keep a pair of earbuds in my pocket for phone calls, podcasts, daily updates about dolphin activity in my neighborhood. And the Raycon Essential Open Earbuds have been my go-to lately. They're very light, the low-profile case is a big plus, and they do wrap around your ears if you partake in head-bobbing related activities. They also can connect to multiple devices and swap seamlessly. The case has 36 hours worth of juice in its battery, and the earbuds themselves last 8 hours on a charge. The best part, though, is that they have crystal clear sound, but also sit outside of your ear canal, so you can hear what's going on all around you. Which is great because I enjoy walking in the city at late hours. I like to have situational awareness because, I am Batman. I typically do go through many earbuds in a year because I lose a lot of them, and what makes Raycon worth it is they are featured pack like any premium earbud, but about half the price. More than 3 million customers have enjoyed Raycons, and they come with a 30-day happiness guarantee, which means if you don't love them, you can return them easily. Better yet, go to the link in the description down below or go to buyraycon.com/generationtechopen and you'll get an additional 20% off on this awesome product. Thank you for your patience. On to the rest of the video. Din Djarin is not the kind of person who will openly show sentimental attachment to anything. You kind of have to read in between the lines with him. He's also, wearing a helmet. But if you take a look at who he is, especially before he goes through the spiritual transformation where he reconnects with his people, we see an individual who definitely is very attached to a certain way of life. He has his Children of the Watch code to not remove his helmet in front of others. He has his bounty hunting code to not get personally involved with the jobs he gets hired to do. His whole life is pretty regimented and disciplined, which isn't unusual for the Mandalorians, who often adopted warrior or soldier-like lifestyles in order to survive the usually very deadly professions they get involved in. And it makes sense for Din Djarin specifically because he is a bounty hunter and he is working in one of the most chaotic and unpredictable areas of the galaxy. He oftentimes has no backup, poor intel, and the odds are stacked against him. And so adopting a routine, maintaining a certain way of doing things, ensures that he has at least some control over some aspects of his life. And hopefully this could eliminate smaller mistakes so that he can be free to focus all of his attention to the task at hand. And not only is Din Djarin's mind well maintained and clear, his tools, his weapons, his vehicles are also, very well taken care of. From his helmet to his armor to his rifle and, of course, the Razor Crest. The Razor Crest might have started life as a planetary defense force or a local security force gunship, but Din Djarin clearly made this thing into his home. A miniaturized carbonizer for freezing bounties is a pretty expensive thing to have on your ship. The gun locker is also definitely another custom job. Very nice, probably very expensive as well. And that's kind of like Din Djarin. A lot of things on the surface might appear poor and damaged, but if you kind of look beneath all of that, he has a lot of high-end gear. And it's all very well taken care of. And I think as someone who grew up in kind of an extreme religious cult who lives in a small and close-knit community where probably everyone knows everyone and gossips about each other constantly, the freedom, the privacy, and independence the Razor Crest gives Din Djarin really makes the ship more than just a ride or even a home. Getting the Razor Crest initially probably signified the next step in Din Djarin's life. If anything, the loss of the Razor Crest was symbolic of Din Djarin sacrificing independence, losing his bachelorhood, but also embracing the two most important things in his life. And, after actually the Razor Crest is blown up, there's like just two things left in the ashes, and it symbolizes those two very important things in his life. First, you have Gogurt's little knob from the controls, which of course symbolizes Gogurt and his relationship with Din Djarin. And then there's that Beskar spear symbolizing his Mandalorian heritage. Din Djarin's life at this point was no longer just about himself. He now So Din Djarin really loves the Razor Crest. Even if he doesn't show it, he definitely is attached to his former ship. I mean, you guys remember what happened when those damn Jawas put the Razor Crest on cinder blocks? Not only did Din Djarin commit multiple homicides, he also spent a lot of time putting that ship back together piece by piece, which is completely insane. I mean, I sold my car once because it failed in missions, I actually thought that Din Djarin rebuilding his Razor Crest was going to be a running gag that happens over and over again. This thing is going to be stripped for pieces, have spider guts on it, crash into an ocean, blown up by an Imperial cruiser, but somehow Din Djarin is going to build it back up somehow. And so that's the more obvious motivation for why the Razor Crest would be brought back, right? That attachment Din Djarin has for the ship, but there's another very clear reason why you need the Razor Crest. The N1 starfighter that Din Djarin uses right now is okay for short hyperspace jumps, but it's tiny and it's cramped. Anything longer, maybe Gogurt is going to try to eject himself, plus there's really no room inside the thing for bounties. I actually wouldn't be surprised if in the first act of the movie, Din Djarin and maybe Gogurt are forced to leave their homestead on Nevarro on some epic journey and have to find a proper ship for the job, which is where Mando gets a new ST-70. It could be as simple as him just finding the original vendor where he got the old ST-70 and buying another one. For all we know, the ST-70s could be extremely popular and easy to find on the secondhand market or in scrapyards where, Din Djarin could just grab it. And also, the Razor Crest kind of symbolizes a return to more simple times, like when Din Djarin was kind of alone by himself or just with Gogurt without too much wider responsibility to Nevarro or the Mandalorians. This was back when Din Djarin was just some random dude hunting his way across the galaxy for credits. And I think this is what a lot of fans want to see from Din Djarin once again, a more simplified, no-nonsense story where he's just fighting and punching and killing things. Din Djarin helped a lot of people. It all started with abandoning the code and saving the precious little baby Gogurt. But it definitely doesn't end there. I mean, he really develops an appetite for helping people. And so there are a lot of benefactors who could potentially help Din get a new Razor Crest. At the end of The Mandalorian, Din Djarin is gifted a homestead and some great land on Nevarro, and for good reason, Din Djarin helped liberate Nevarro twice. First from Imperial remnant control, and then from pirate occupation. Greef Karga, who unfortunately won't be returning on screen, I think, rest in peace Carl Weathers, will know how important the Razor Crest was for Din. Both Greef and Din have quite a character arc. They go from being members of a pretty shady industry to heroes and leaders of their own communities. They go way back. And so Nevarro gifting Din Djarin the Razor Crest would make sense. Din Djarin is seen as a protector of this community. They are all indebted to him, and because of Greef, they all understand how important the Razor Crest is to him. And from a narrative point of view, having the people of Nevarro gift Din Djarin and Gogurt a new Razor Crest right before they leave on their adventure could be a really bittersweet moment. Excitement and adventure awaits the audience, but the gift of a ship is so warm and loving, it makes us kind of understand and feel what exactly Din Djarin and Gogurt are leaving behind. It's a community, it's a family, it's warmth. And that makes the departure even more sad. It puts a lot of weight on the decision to plunge back into a more dangerous and chaotic life. But at least once they have the Razor Crest, they can think about all the nice people who, pitched in together and bought them the ship. It's the kind of reset you really need also, especially if you're on the 4th entry of a TV series, you still need a character arc, you still need some kind of development for the characters to overcome. And so, you have to start from somewhere new. A lot of video games that carry over the same character to a second entry do this. Instead of starting the second game with all of your abilities, tools, and money, something usually has to happen. An injury of some kind, maybe you're thrown into jail. I think Din Djarin and Gogurt need some kind of soft reset as well, and that could just be them living a cushy, stationary life on Nevarro for too long, and so, I don't know, maybe Din Djarin's blaster hand gets a little slower, maybe his knife skills aren't quite as good as they used to be. The local town folks being able to afford a ST-70 and restoring it would also show a return on investment for Din and his actions before, and more importantly, how prosperous this plan has become thanks to its newfound stability. Something that was hinted at in Season 3. The next and most obvious benefactor for this ship would be the Mandalorians. Either the privateers or the Children of the Watch, although if things are going smoothly on Mandalore, the partisans and the factional divides have hopefully disappeared, and Mandalore now is truly unified. But culturally and from a resource point of view, there are different reasons why each faction is in a good position to gift Din Djarin this ship. From the Children of the Watch, there could be many reasons. One, Din Djarin is one of them, and it makes sense for a clan to help each other out. That is kind of the way these Children of the Watch live, although it seems like it's mostly the adult Mandalorians pulling money together to help the next generation. Although you can make the argument that Din's clan Mudhorn, a clan of two, needs its own new home, its own mobile fortress, aka a second Razor Crest. Like everyone else on this list, the Children of the Watch owned Din Djarin a lot. He was the one who unified the Mandalorian people and brought them back to their home planet. I mean, technically it was Bo-Katan, but Din Djarin definitely played a very large role. The Children of the Watch are also very ritualistic, and so just like how Din Djarin has, brought Mandalore back from the dead, maybe they just want to bring the Razor Crest back from the dead as a way to say thank you to him as well. Now, how the Children of the Watch get their hands on a ship is more complicated. I actually think this is where the privateers come into play. The same privateers who are excellent at hijacking Imperial Gazanti-class cruisers. If they can board a moving starship, fight their way through the cramped interiors of that ship without taking heavy casualties, and successfully commandeer it, locating, buying, stealing an ST-70 assault ship could be very easy for them. The yellow stripes on the new Razor Crest also kind of look like battle stripes that Mandalorians commonly wore on their armor, especially in the expanded universe. Mandalorians really liked decorating their armor back in the day. Maybe Bo-Katan wanted to test out their new massive forge and, plate the exterior with some Erodium accents. Although Erodium is pretty fancy and it's not really protected, and it would probably create issues for Din Djarin at sketch your starports when he parks there. Okay, this is kind of a wild theory. I don't like this theory, but we're going to talk about it anyway. For Gogurt, the Razor Crest is really the first home he has after the Jedi Temple collapses. Din is really the first family he's had since the death of his original master, I guess. Or at least since he parts way with Ahmed Best's Jedi Master character. And so the Razor Crest is a place of memories for Gogurt. It symbolizes the place where he and Din first become family. And this is important for Gogurt. Remember, he wisely rejected joining Luke's temple, probably narrowly avoiding meeting Ben Solo along the way. And because Gogurt is kind of a child prodigy in the Force, what if he did go back to Tython and literally reassemble the Razor Crest, like how younglings put together lightsabers? Again, this is not a great idea. I don't like this idea at all. I think it really just makes Baby Gogurt too powerful, but I can kind of see Disney not learning from their past mistakes and heading in this route. I hope not. Peli Motto is basically the Danny DeVito of Star Wars. She rips off customers, overbills them, sells them back parts that her Jawa friends have stolen. She's kind of a stereotypical mechanic, right? But she has a really kind of nice relationship. It's a strange relationship, but it's a very warm and friendly relationship with Din Djarin, and she's almost like Gogurt's crazy aunt from Canarsie, right? I don't know why Din gets along with Peli Motto. Maybe she just doesn't suffer fools and she kind of respects Mando Dad. But anyway, she's never really judged Din Djarin and kind of is always there to help him, whether it's fixing his ship or taking care of Gogurt. Like I said before, she's more of an aunt than just a mechanic. She's family. And when Din Djarin loses his first home, who was there for him? It was Peli Motto with an absolute banger of a starship, an old school N1 starfighter. I might as well bring out an old C2 Stingray, antiquated but a timeless classic with curves that kill. And together, Peli Motto and Din Djarin really bring out the best from that old starship. Its new sublight drives are very impressive. And it's important to remember that it was Peli Motto who first recognized this change within Din Djarin, going from an independent bachelor type individual to more of a family man. It was Peli Motto who gives Din Djarin a two-seater snub fighter. Well, actually, it's a one-seater. Gogurt's seat is actually an astromech slot, which is kind of cute. It gives me Anakin and Ahsoka vibes. But yeah, Peli Motto really knows her customers well. This is why she usually scams them. But she also sees that Din Djarin is ditching the life of a traveling bounty hunter. He's now ceased to live down by the metaphoric river in a van. Which honestly, before all those van influencers ruined everything, was a very sketchy and frowned upon thing to do. I mean, why can't those guys just do what everyone else does, send 70% of their income on a shitbox apartment, huh? Anyway, Peli Motto understands that Din Djarin can't live in a van anymore. He has a kid now, and so a permanent home is necessary. So the starship they kind of need is a daily driver, something much smaller. A very nimble and deadly ship that allows Din Djarin to outrun pursuers and properly protect Baby Gogurt in ways that would have been very hard with the Razor Crest. I mean, you saw how Din Djarin evaded X-Wing cops in his Razor Crest. He just made the thing drop like a brick. Not exactly a good strategy if you want to stay alive, but basically the only strategy that would have worked with this kind of ship. When your starship can't outperform the next guy, just do crazy things and risk your life and hope the other guy's more sane and has a family. With the N1, guys like Riot Mar wouldn't stand a chance against the Razor Crest. I mean, you saw what happened to the X-Wing cops when they tried to pull over Din Djarin in the N1. He went so fast they thought he went into hyperspace. I mean, Peli Motto is really watching out. She's made the perfect ship to keep Din Djarin and Baby Gogurt safe. And so it's not that far-fetched to think Peli Motto would be the first person Din Djarin would contact when he needs another ship. And you know, maybe those yellow fairings aren't iridium, because that is kind of ridiculous the more I think about it. Maybe that's just some spare parts Peli Motto had lying around in her garage. Maybe they could be the engine cowlings and panels removed from an N1 starfighter. I mean, the color on these panels is definitely Royal Naboo yellow. And if you take a look at the N1 starfighter Din Djarin flies and the new Razor Crest, you know, put them side by side, it's not hard to imagine what happened here. Anyway, I originally thought it was kind of stupid for the Razor Crest to return. I don't really like over-the-top fan servicing, but the more I thought about it, the more effort I put into researching this video, I'm kind of warming up to the idea now. I mean, the Razor Crest does have very strong symbolic and thematic meanings that could add quite a lot to this show. I mean, this literally is a vehicle for the narrative, right? It takes our characters from planet to planet, and, you know, I think, especially from the original fans of the first few seasons, seeing the Razor Crest come back will kind of ground this movie and make it feel like it's, you know, a continuation of the larger story. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. I'll see you next time.